Okay, second video here. So we're talking about periodic functions, and what we're going to discuss now is just the terms cycle and period. Now, a cycle is just one pattern of the periodic function before it repeats, right? And so you remember from those old ones that we looked at that it was pretty clear, kind of like where it was starting and and where it stopped before it repeated itself right here. So if you look at like this example here, the cycle would be from here to here, right? That's one cycle, and then it repeats that, it makes another V, and it's going to continue to do that, right? And so the period, the way that works is the period is the length of time it takes to make one cycle, right? The horizontal length of one cycle. So I called it time. It's actually not time. It's could be distance. It could be whatever, right? But we're talking about the horizontal length. So in other words, your x, right? That it takes to make one cycle. And so like on this one, your period goes from 0 to 360 degrees before it repeats, right? So your period is 360. So those are the ideas of like cycle and period, right? And we have a table of this that kind of shows it. And you can see from here that your y value repeats here and here. And so you should be able to, even just looking at this without a graph, be able to see that, oh, this thing looks like this is a periodic function and that it repeats, every 360 degrees. So if we use our new nomenclature, our new words, right, we would say the cycle, the period of the cycle is 360 degrees, right? So for these problems right here, it says determine the period of each function. So what we got to do is we got to figure out where's this thing start and stop before it repeats. Well, let's just start right from the y-axis, right? I think that's usually like a good spot to figure it out. So if we're starting here, goes down, goes flat, and then it goes up, and then it repeats again right here. So it goes from here to here, right? And so this is our cycle, right? Our one cycle. This is one cycle. And the period of this cycle, okay, is, draw a little thing here, right? The period of the cycle is pi, right? And they don't give us a unit here, but we can kind of assume because we're talking about theta, that's probably radians. So we would say the pi period is pi radians, right? So every pi radians, or 180 degrees, this thing repeats, right? It goes boom, 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 comes up and then stops and then does the same thing again, and it looks like it's going to continue to do that, right? All right, so let's move on to this one right here. So this one, I would say you can start from wherever you want. I think it's usually easiest to start at like a benchmark for y, so 0 or 1 or something where it's easy to kind of see where it resets. So we're going to go from here, and then it looks like once you get here, it does the same thing. So it goes, up and then comes all the way down and stops, right? And it goes up, comes all the way down and stops. So it does the same thing. So this is your cycle, and the period of your cycle is 2 units, right? So your period is 2 units. And I'm writing units because I don't know what the unit is. So period for this one would be pi radians. This one is 2 units, right? Here, it looks like what we got going on if we start right here, start at a benchmark, and it goes up in a straight line, it comes down in a straight line, and then it does this little curvy little whoop thing, and then when it hits here, it goes back into the straight line thing, and that's kind of how it works. So this increment right here is your cycle, and your cycle, the period of your cycle, is another 10 units, all right? 10 units. All right, this one, I think it's probably it's easiest. You could start a bunch of places, right? You could start right here. I think that's where I'd go. I'd go from here to here, right? And I'd say, okay. So it looks like it just continues to make, like, if you start from here, you could call it an upside down V. If you started where this thing crossed at the y-axis, you could say it makes a, upward V. It doesn't matter, right? It's just where you're taking it at. And so I'm looking at this, and from my eyes, it looks like it starts at 3 and it looks like it ends at 9. All right, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units. So my period before this thing repeats is 6 units. And so with these, it's just a matter of just looking at them carefully and making sure you're you're not missing something. And so like on this one, if you're not thinking, you might go, oh, every 5 units it's a period, but it's not because it does something different here before it repeats. It's got to repeat the entire cycle, right? And so one cycle is this whole thing, right? This one cycle is either from here to here, or you could do it from here to here. Like I said, it doesn't matter because your period's going to be exactly the same. Um, so that is how these work. That's kind of the lingo we want you to use. And beyond that, that's kind of where we're going to keep it today. So the the video for the homework help will be up next, and we'll see you there.